It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's our goal. Hey, it's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Breaking Bread with Tom Papa. I'm Tom Papa. Thank you so much for joining us once again. We've got a good one for you today. The one and only Jay Leno is on the program. Jay has been a comedy workhorse for over 40 years, and he joins us on the podcast after not one, but two cheating death scenarios. One lighting completely on fire, another motorcycle accident, and he is up and he is walking and he is still filled with jokes, and he comes by to spend some time with us today. He's a workhorse. We'd like to thank the good people at Nuts.com for sponsoring today's show. Nuts.com is a great service. If you want nuts or berries or snacks of any kind, I've got some gummy bears dipped in chocolate. I've got some dried apricots. A lot of things in my pantry because of Nuts.com. Nuts.com is offering new customers a free gift with purchase and free shipping on orders of $29 or more at Nuts.com/Papa. That's Nuts.com/Papa. So go check out all the delicious options at Nuts.com/Papa. You'll receive a free gift and free shipping when you spend $29 or more. That's Nuts.com/Papa. Also, a little plug for my book. We're all in this together, so make some room. Thank you to everyone who has bought it. Sales have been nice and healthy, and I like that they're spreading the word. If you can, if I may ask another thing of you, if you could review it, it would be great. If you got it from Amazon or Barnes & Nobles, wherever you got it from, if you could go on and review it, give it a good review. Even if you don't enjoy it or know what I'm talking about, just give it a good review. It helps with the sales, and it helps with spreading the word, and it just, feeding the algorithm, kids, feeding the algorithm. So this is the big 4th of July show. This is dropping on the 4th of July, but you probably shouldn't be listening to it on the 4th of July. Maybe you are. Maybe you're driving around, getting ready with some potato salad in the back, a pack of hot dogs on your lap, and heading off to see some friends, maybe get an early spot at the fireworks. Whatever it is, happy 4th of July to you. It is one of my favorite holidays. I truly, truly love it. And I know some of it's nostalgia, and some of it is just creating these habits through the years of always getting together with my family down at the beach and having a good time. And it's definitely attached to that, but it's also deeply attached to just the love of the country. And I do not feel that that is anything to be ashamed of. I very much love this country and what it has given me, and the opportunities, and the ability to criticize it when it's wrong and try and make it better. And it is still a unique, special place. And I'm very happy to be raising my family in this country. I'm very happy that my dogs are running around in this country. I'm very happy that I've got a suitcase filled with cigars from another country. That's what this country gives you, freedom. And it really does. And I know it's easy, and it can be fashionable to beat it all up and say it doesn't matter. But to me, it matters. And I'm not saying it has to matter to everybody, but to me, I just truly enjoy and love living here. This is our time, and this is my time, and this is what I've got, and this is where I landed, and make the best of it. It's very easy to just completely rip things down and push them to the side and complain and say I'm not a part of it, and be cynical and smoke a cigarette and lean against the back wall. Hey, you could do that. That's not how I'm going to do it. I like that I get to share this with you. I like that we get to celebrate, and that's what life is all about, is complete celebration. So I hope you have a great 4th of July, and I hope that you get to grill up some good stuff and have some corn and maybe some berries and some of those weird pies where you put the big things of whipped cream on it that you don't normally do, and just enjoy the hell out of it. Happy 4th of July. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the great Jay Leno. He was very kind to come and spend some time with me. I love just talking about comedy with him. He is not a guy that is going to get all touchy-feely, but he is going to love talking purely about comedy, which is one of his loves. The other love is trying to kill him. The other love is cars and motorcycles and everything gassy and greasy and steamy, and it's dangerous. And I'm glad that he's safe, and I'm glad that he was able to come and spend some time. He's always been very generous throughout my entire career, inviting me to the Tonight Show many, many, many times, and always giving me a spot, and very kind to my family. And I'm just happy that he's still alive. Enjoy Jay Leno. Dun, 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 dun. Good to see you, Jay.
You too.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
So nice to see you.
Are we on now?
Yeah, we're on now.
We're on now. All
Yeah.
right, okay, wow. All right.
This is high tech, baby.
Well, where do we start?
First, I'm glad you're alive.
That's very kind. Thank you. Otherwise, you'd be talking to another pizza guy. That's right. So, yeah.
Really? I mean, in the last several months, you were on fire. You crashed a motorcycle.
I lost some weight. It says it's crash and burn, don't it? You crash your motorcycle and then you catch it on fire and you lose weight. Yeah, I mean, it works. Actually, I lost about 20 pounds.
You
It
did?
worked okay.
Yeah, you look thinner. Why? Why'd you lose the weight?
Well, when you're on fire, you don't really have that much of an appetite. So that would,
How scary was it?
it wasn't scary at all. People catch on fire all the time. It's like, when you're a stupid celebrity, real people get burned up all the time. Like I always say, people love to see rich people get set on fire. So it's not, it's not. It wasn't bad at all. We did the whole thing in 8 days.
What do you mean the whole thing?
It's a whole brand new face.
It's a whole new face?
Oh, it is. Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
First of all, you're amazing because
I'll show you.
there's never.
You want to see a picture?
Yeah.
Okay, let me get this stupid.
Yeah, I see your hand. You've got.
Yeah, you can still see some of the burn there.
So, God. So it just a car just.
You know something? It's better than a broken leg. At least you're not hobbling around.
God, it must have hurt though. Be on fire.
Well,
Was it completely like? Poof? Did you know you were on fire?
Oh yeah, yeah. You tend
you
to know
didn't
when
pass
you're
out?
on fire. No, I didn't pass out. No, Jesus, for God's sake.
Yeah, I'm a man's man.
No, but I mean, it's like, please, here, I'll show. Okay, here's. Okay, well, that's what it. Yeah, that's what it looked like they brought me in.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's not good.
Oh my God, Jay.
Yeah, not good.
There's no saying that's not a big deal. Your whole face is
That's all
off.
right. It wasn't that bad.
Your face is off.
I know. In fact, if you look at the next picture, see they sawed it off. That's a circular saw. They cut off. And you see the laying new skin in.
Ah.
See. And then
Oh my.
this is a brand new ear.
Jay is showing me
Yeah.
complete surgery of them putting
Yeah.
a whole new face on.
New ear.
A whole new ear. That's not your.
Yeah. It's my ear now. Yeah. No, it's fine.
Oh my God. But this is your attitude with life. You're just always like, nah, it's not a big
Actually,
deal.
motorcycle accident is worse because I got a broken collarbone and 2 broken ribs. So with fire,
Yeah.
the pain is constant. So you just get used to it. I mean, that's what it is right now. It just hurts.
It still hurts.
Well, no, it's okay now. But when you got a broken rib, it's like when you cough,
Yeah.
it's that kind of. So that one was actually worse.
Oh my God.
But it's okay. It was all right.
So did this make you think of any of your adventures that maybe you should be getting a rocking chair maybe and just sitting on a porch and relaxing
No,
a
of
little with
course
some
not.
lemonade?
You know something? At least when you crash a motorcycle and
Yeah.
you catch on fire, it's still better than slipping in your Pat Boone walk-in bathtub. You know what I mean? Because then you're like an old guy. At least you get some street cred. When
Yeah.
people find out you crashed, you got an 83-year-old motorcycle with a 73-year-old guy on it. Well, what could happen?
Right.
But no, it was okay. It was okay.
Jeez. Why? How did the fire start?
I was working on a car, and I clogged fuel line, and I said, just blow a little air through the line there, and it hit me on fire, and there was an open flame because it was a steam car, so it caught fire. So
Jesus.
it's all right.
Oh my God. You're like Evil Knievel.
No, it's not like evil.
It's worse.
No,
I
no,
never.
no.
Literally.
No. It was all right. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that
From
bad.
seeing those pictures to
Yeah.
seeing your face is
But
incredible.
the doctors were 8 days. They did the whole thing
God.
because it's like one of those things where, oh, it's going to take 12 weeks. You don't paint a car one fender at a time. Do the whole thing. So boom.
Just
Yeah, yeah. They did the whole thing in a week.
Oh my God.
You live in one of those compression chambers. What do they call it?
Hyperbolic.
Hyperbolic. Yeah.
Oh really?
And that kind of speeds things up. Yeah.
Jeez. What does that mean? You're just in like a tube?
Yeah. It's so funny. You're in a tube, and the glass is like 2 inches thick. So you're in there, and they're like, "Okay, just knock on the glass if you need anything." Okay, so I'm there. I'm like, it's getting hot in here. I'm like, and I see people talking. Well, Bob. I mean, like right there. They don't even see me. I'm going. I'm going. I mean, yeah, it is. If you're claustrophobic, it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little tricky, but it was okay.
That's what I was thinking with that submarine thing. It was like I could not get in that submarine. If it was in my yard, I couldn't get in that submarine.
What's so odd about? I mean, this is what I love about America. When the story first broke,
Yeah.
and one of the people is a billionaire. Like, okay, like suddenly their life is worth more than
Right.
just regular people that are on the plane. But
Yeah.
that was a class. Boy, that was just bad all the way around. I love free enterprise, but that's a classic case of
Yeah.
just run amok. Because Elon, he does it. He sends rockets into space.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but there's a lot of checks and balances in place. Oh, I'm no expert, obviously, but this didn't seem to. I work with carbon fiber, and it just wasn't tested. It wasn't
Right.
tested enough. Carbon fiber is very strong,
Yeah.
but not under compression.
Right.
And this thing had done a bunch of trips. I mean, how many times can you bend a coat hanger until it breaks?
Right. Right.
And you've got that steel, it compresses and decompresses, compresses, and then eventually it's just going to go. And apparently it happened within the first, like Sunday, fairly, an hour and 45 minutes into the deal.
As soon as they lost contact, that's when they think it imploded.
I mean, it's a sad story, and it's
Yeah.
an odd, because it had 2 billionaires.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a ship off of, not Somalia,
Greece.
one of those places.
Yeah.
700 people went down.
No one cared.
What was that? Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, it didn't get the coverage.
No.
I mean,
No.
so yeah, but I mean, it's one of those. It's got all the it's got billionaires.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's got the Titanic.
All the ghosts from the Titanic.
Yeah. Well, now you have another dead millionaire down there for people to visit when they're going the next one.
Right.
And if you go to your left, you can see okay. I mean, I'm not making light of it. I don't mean it that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what happens. Now it becomes another. But I think this puts pretty much the kibosh on the underwater trip thing. I don't
Yeah,
think
exactly.
I mean, it's such a frightening. You in a
Oh
little.
my God.
You're in. It's like 5 guys in a minivan. That's what you're in.
Yeah.
And you're not even in seats.
No
You're
seats.
just lying on the floor.
Oh.
And you can get the James Cameron video, which
Right.
shows you the Titanic. I mean, beautifully shot with the underwater camera. You see everything.
Yeah.
This thing, you're looking through urinal glass. That thick, like they have in the men's rooms. Like that thick glass where you can see an image on the other side, but you can't quite make out what.
Yeah.
I don't quite get it.
I don't get it either. I really don't. I mean, there seems to be that thing. These guys, I think they're bored. They get so much money, they just don't know what to do.
Well, you gotta, there's that weird thing, because you can afford something.
Right.
You must be good at it.
Right.
People say, "Why don't I race cars?" Because I'm not a race car driver. I am not an athlete by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Just because I can afford the car doesn't mean. I mean, I enjoy cars. I enjoy driving it.
Yeah.
I enjoy pretending I'm a race car driver, but I don't think that I am.
You're
So
right.
consequently, I don't. I see a lot of guys and they enter races of, "If it just had these tires, I could win. If it just had this,"
Yeah.
and they wind up. It just gets a little crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the first real car that you got? The first one that was like, I'm now like in show business and I'm buying a fun car.
I don't know. I've always been interested in cars and motorcycles.
Yeah.
So it's just it wasn't like, oh, I got the car, now I'm in the.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, probably the McLaren F1 would be the that was the epitome. That was the big one.
Yeah.
You know, I bought that car in '99, and I paid $800,000 for it. People, you're crazy out of your mind. The last offer I got was 20 mil. So it's
20 mil.
Yeah. So you don't. They only built 64 of them.
Oh my God.
Cars are actually a pretty good investment if you know what you're doing. You know, if you buy what you like and you're reasonably well informed, chances are other people like it too.
Right.
And when you get something they're not making any more of, you know, when people pay big money for a car that's coming out that they're going to produce, you know, forever, well, those ones don't really go up in value because you can just buy a new one.
Right.
When you have something that came out, they only built 64, the company went under, they can never build them again. Okay. Then the
Yeah. What do you like more, comedy or cars?
You know, comedy pays for everything. I mean, I like the comedy the best.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because, you know, most people can't do anything. Some people can do one thing.
Right. And
I can do one thing. You know, I am a huge believer in low self-esteem. I think it's the key to success. No, I mean, seriously, because if you don't think you're the smartest person in the room, like when I got the Tonight Show, okay, let me hire the best producer, the best lighting guy, whatever. And I talked to friends of mine to get shows, and I'm fighting with the lighting guy now. Well, what do you know about lighting? I mean, your mom doesn't like it, all right, but what is that? You know, I mean, so to me, just let people do the job that they do. Yeah. You know, that was always my thing. Everybody tell me if I suck. Right. Please, just tell me if I suck. And people would go, Jay, the show tonight, sucked. It wasn't very good. Okay, what was wrong? All right, thanks. You know, and I always appreciated that. I think that's why we were able to stay on for 22 years because you weren't fooling yourself. You know, when you how many times you see a guy do a Tonight Show monologue and it's geared to that audience where they hit the applause sign and people laugh. Then they do it in a club and it gets nothing. Right. Because it's a TV monologue. You know, it's meant to get applause as opposed to real laughs. You know? Right. You know? So no, I think low self-esteem is the key to success. Right. Which too, because then you go, oh, you know, this guy seems smarter than me. Let me put him in. Okay, you know. Yeah. What about in the early days when you were showing up at the clubs and going after it because you had the reputation of being the guy? Did you? The guy. I mean, you just do what you do. It was. But you knew you were good early on, right? Well, interesting. Early on, I had no idea because I had never. I did this for a year before I ever met another comic, really. Oh yeah. Because I started in Boston, and Boston had, you know, dozens of colleges with people with no money willing to be entertained by people with no talent because, you know, they put a candle in the cafeteria, it'd be the Two-Toe Cafe. Stop your war machine, man! You know, all those kind of folk singers. And comedy was not something people did. It just didn't seem. You had Cheech and Chong, which was sort of alternative comedy. That way. Then you had guys like David Steinberg breaking out kind of big. You know, prior to that big change, comedians were older Jewish men who were funny looking. You know, Alan King and not Alan was funny looking, but I mean he just had that old man persona. Henny Youngman, Rodney Dangerfield. Hey, the kids today, you know what? It has so long, the pants are too damn tight. I'll tell you that right now. You know just that kind of attitude. You know, and suddenly you had Robert Klein, that was my hero. I love because he was most like me, just a regular guy. You know, you didn't have a gimmick. I mean, if you were a minority, you could play off of that or whatever it might be. But just being a middle-class kid from a nice parents in a nice town, there wasn't a lot there. But that's what Klein was. And I watched him. I thought, boy, that guy really has an interesting angle on you. Him and, of course, Carlin, those guys. I mean, I remember George when he was straight George. You know, he'd come out in a suit and tie and do the hippy-dippy weatherman and all that kind of. And very funny stuff, right. You know. Yeah. In fact, I remember when it was Burns and Carlin, do you remember that? You remember Jack Burns? No. Jack Burns used to be on the Andrew Griffith show. He was. It was Burns and was it Allen? But he used to be a guy. Yeah. Remember that guy? He used to do that. Guy used to do that. You going in there? Yeah. You know. And then Jack Burns went off on his own, and he got on the Andy Griffith show, and I think he replaced Goober or somebody, one of the characters there. But he used to be Carlin's partner. Right. Yeah, it was Burns and Carlin. And they used to do a 2-man show. It's funny to watch.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean-
a crazy thing to watch. The Carlin story, I mean, people have heard it a lot, but as a comedian, it's kind of mind-boggling that because he had a following and he had people who liked him, and then to take that risk of turning off all those people to go in another direction.
Yeah.
It's pretty ballsy.
Yeah, it is. It took real guts to do that. I remember when Rodney, before he had No Respect, he was a comic. I mean, but doing...
Just straight.
I remember one of his routines that used to make me laugh was about, this is your pilot speaking, we're on flight so-and-so. And he's doing the thing. He says, look on the left side of the plane. You can see the remains of Flight 418 that hit a mountain. You were with me on that one, weren't you, Bob? That always made me laugh. It always made me laugh. But it was so different for Rodney.
It was really
And then
different.
he got the No Respect thing.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing took a... Rodney had to grow into it.
Yeah.
'Cause, it's real funny about Rodney because he was a comic, didn't have much success, quit it to sell aluminum siding.
Right.
Became an extremely successful aluminum. He had like 50 people working for him.
Did he really?
Yeah, he had aluminum siding. I mean, the idea of what do you sell aluminum siding all came from Rodney. Saying it so many times, people use that as the show business job you get when you're not. He didn't get back into it until he was 44
Amazing.
because he had to look like his act. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I always tease Seinfeld.
Yeah.
When Seinfeld, he was on one of the early shows, Merv Griffin or something, and he looks so baby faced, and he's telling, hey, you get a hooker, and I call him, I go, hooker, what are you, 12? You look like you're 12 years old. It was just so funny, 'cause you couldn't really do those kind of jokes, because he didn't look like
he
it.
wasn't, yeah.
With Rodney, with the, with the shirt one size too small, and I tell you, he's sweating all the time,
Yeah.
He really had to grow into the act and become that guy.
Yeah.
And it was funny. Once he did, there was no stopping him. It was great.
I saw a thing up at a club of Rodney's jokes. It was his set list. He kept all of his set lists for the Tonight shows that he did. And it was crazy because it was the joke written out.
Right.
And like when I make a set list, I would write the heading of the joke, like, baby walking or whatever.
Right.
His bold face was the punchline. It was always the punchline.
Right.
It was always the and then boom.
Right,
Two lines of like what the punch was.
Yeah.
And that's how he set up
And
his
it's
joke.
really funny, because he once accused Johnny of stealing one of his jokes. He got banned from the show.
No, really?
Yeah.
I
Well,
never heard that.
he got back on again.
Yeah.
But he saw the Tonight Show, and as often happens, I think,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether this is the case, or maybe it's just similar, that somebody, because Rodney kind of thought, not that he wrote all the jokes, but I mean, he said it to me because once there was a Viagra joke that seemed really easy about, I gave my dog Viagra, now he's a pointer, okay.
Right.
And I had done some version of that because, that's funny. And then I heard Rodney doing the Tonight Show, and I stopped doing it because I know Rodney would think, I saw the Tonight Show, he took it from me.
Right,
So
right.
So he was always very guarded about his material. And I actually got into
Wow.
like a shouting match with Johnny over it or something.
Really?
And then he finally apologized to Johnny, and I got back. I think he was back in again.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's so hard. I mean, there's so many, especially if it's current jokes.
Yeah.
And the host of the Tonight Show, I mean, every night.
Well, you had to watch all the other shows to make sure, and if you did have something that was similar, then you were accused of stealing.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever, if you were the fan of Conan, you stole it. If you're a fan of Jay stole it.
Right.
You stole whatever it might,
Yeah.
It just got a little stupid.
Yeah. Did you ever would you see Rodney around, like in the clubs at that time before he was the Respect guy?
My wife and I stayed in the storeroom at Dangerfields.
Yeah, I remember.
They put a cot back there. My wife and I lived there for the 2 weeks I played it.
Did you really?
Yeah. I mean, you guys come in, that can of tomato sauce. They take it off the shelf. We'd have to get up and get out of the storeroom.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Rodney was always.
Was it good to you?
Yeah, I like Rodney. Well,
Yeah.
I you probably heard this story, but I had Rodney on the Tonight Show in 2004.
Uh-huh.
My thing, I used to love watching Johnny be the straight man.
Uh-huh.
Things are rough, Rodney. Oh, Johnny, I tell you. And then Rodney would say a line, and then Johnny would just repeat it.
Yeah.
Oh, things are bad. Oh, Johnny, so bad. I was all, wouldn't that be funny? So when I got to do that with Rodney, that was like the greatest thing to me. I just thought that was so much fun because I used to love being the straight man to Rodney. Things are bad, Rodney. Oh, Jay, I tell you, things are bad. How's the dog? Dr. Vinny Boom Bots are not good. Whatever it might be. So I am.
You know my doctor.
Yeah. So 2004, I got him on the show, and he comes out, and I noticed he's sweating a little bit. I mean, more than the usual manic,
Yeah.
And the hand movements are off by a hair. I mean, I think as a comic, you or I would notice it because you study the way the other performers work,
Yeah.
I don't think the audience do, but you know how you touch the tie and go,
Yeah.
I tell you. And, well, it was a little off, and he's doing fine.
Uh-huh.
So I'm watching him, and I said to Debbie, our producer, while he was doing the stand-up, I said, hey, I think Rodney's having a stroke. Just call the paramedics just in case. She goes, man, I go, no, I do, really. Okay, so Rodney sits down. Hey, Jay, I tell you, that was a great crowd. And we do the whole thing back and forth.
Uh-huh.
So then the show's over. Rodney's in the drive, and he's fine. As the show ends, the paramedics show up. I said, Rodney, the paramedics want to take a look at you. Look like you're having a stroke. Oh, I'm fine. Well, he did have a stroke.
Whoa.
Yeah. And they took him out in the stretcher.
Whoa.
And then he's in the hospital. He died a couple of weeks after that. But one day I'm at home, and I get a call from Joan, his wife, He goes, Jay, Rodney's in a coma. You got to come. Okay. So I go to the hospital, and Joan is there, and just a great wife. She really loved Rodney. A lot of people think, oh, she's a beautiful girl, and Rodney. But she really loved the guy. I mean, she liked to laugh, and was watched out for him left and right. So I look at Rodney's line with his eyes open, but he can't do anything.
Oh.
And Joan says, doctor said he can hear us, but he can't respond. So I'm telling him how much we love him, how great he was to all his comics.
Right.
So Joan says to me, Jay, put your finger in Rodney's hand. She goes, Rodney, if you know it's Jay, try and squeeze his finger. So I put my finger in his hand. And I feel like just a slight squeeze. And I went, Rodney, that's not my finger. Right. And Rodney's shoulders went like, and Joan goes, he moved. Yeah, and so he died right after that. But to get a laugh from Rodney.
Oh my God.
I mean, it was like,
God.
I don't mean that to be a cruel story.
Yeah,
but
it's a great story.
But it's just, I'm just to make Rodney to get one laugh
laugh like that
out of Rodney.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really fun.
God.
It was really nice. It was a kind of a comedic send-off.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Was he as tumultuous as of a personality during his prime as you kind of hear? Like, it seemed like he was a furnace that was, or like.
Well, he would walk around in an open robe backstage at Tonight Show. Rodney, close the robe, would you play? And it wasn't like Cosby, where he's like, ooh,
yeah,
But he was just like, oh, sorry, no, it's all right, Rodney.
Yeah,
it's just very funny. But I mean, he just, he was with Lenny Bruce. He knew all those guys.
Yeah.
And Joe Ancis. Do you know Joe Ancis? Do you know that name?
No, I don't know that name.
Joe Ancis is probably one of the most famous muse. By that I mean people who help you be funny.
Uh-huh.
He made Lenny funny. He was one of those guys. I guess the analogy I would make to our friend Kevin Rooney, who's no longer with us, Rooney was one of the funniest guys. Whenever I get together with Rooney or Seinfeld, whenever we're talking on the phone, I think we each come away with something we can use, a funny phrase.
Yeah.
I may have come up with it, but wouldn't have come up with it if Seinfeld hadn't given me the lead in, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So you always like talking to people like that. And Ancis is one of those guys who would sit with Rodney and Lenny Bruce and do jokes you quote couldn't do.
Right.
And it was interesting. If you read Ladies and Gentlemen Lenny Bruce by Albert Goldman, Ancis is in there a lot.
Was he a performer as well?
No, because I think he was scared to death to get on stage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was not a performer.
Oh.
He was what we used to call a table comic.
Yeah.
Like you go to, it was the Green Kitchen in New York. It was Cantor's here in LA.
Yeah.
Comics would gather. They'd sit at the table, and you'd throw bits. You talk back and forth. And help to, there were a lot of guys like that. There were guys whose table act I think was better than their real act.
Yeah.
Like nobody funnier
Yeah.
than Johnny Dark. Johnny Dark
Right.
would kill people at the table,
Yeah.
and then his act was good. But I
Yeah.
mean, it was more of a traditional nightclub act.
Yeah.
But the act he would do at the thing, at the table would be some kind of off the wall thing, being hit on by a guy or whatever
Yeah.
it might be. Something that people didn't do back in those days. And he was really funny. He was a good table comic.
Yeah.
And that's what Joe Anstis
Before his
was.
Lincoln phase.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Nuts.com is your one stop for freshly roasted nuts, dried fruit, sweets, pantry staples like specialty flours, and more. You go to nuts.com like I did, and you just go through it's just like a little walkway filled with all the things that you like to eat. The healthier items, the more indulgent items, anything that you want in your pantry, say over like the next month or so. Anything you want, you're going to like come in and be in a healthy mood and grab some almonds. Maybe you're going to have a couple things that maybe need chocolate on them. Maybe you need something a little more decadent, maybe some popcorn. Nuts.com has it all for you. Snack with satisfaction knowing that quality is a top priority at Nuts.com. They roast their nuts and pop their corn the same day it ships, so they reach you deliciously fresh. Since 1929, they've been doing it the old-fashioned way. One taste, and you will know the difference. I'm telling you, folks, I've got a pantry filled with it. The bags are fun. The snacks are top quality. Get them. Right now, Nuts.com is offering new customers a free gift with purchase and free shipping on orders of $29 or more at Nuts.com/Papa. That's Nuts.com/Papa. You'll get all the delicious options. That's hard to say. Delicious options at Nuts.com/Papa. And you'll receive a free gift and free shipping when you spend $29 or more. That's Nuts.com/Papa. I use it. I love it. You will too. It must have been, it seems like such a great, everything looking back always seems like nostalgic and stuff, but it seems like that era of you guys at the Improv and the Comedy Store making your way.
Well, it's interesting because it's not like now where everybody's a comic.
Right.
Back then, there weren't enough comics.
Right.
I mean, there's a phrase. I always thought Bud Friedman, who owned the Improv, should have made it his autobiography, Two Singers and You, because at the Improv was set up for Broadway singers to hang out. Bette Midler would come in. I remember Barry Manilow was a piano player.
Jeez.
All this kind of stuff. And Broadway singers come in. They do a couple of their show tunes or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And then a comic. There'd be but there were never enough comics.
Amazing.
And I drove down from Boston to audition once, and I got on because there weren't any comics.
Just a numbers thing.
Yeah. It just wasn't something people did in this. It was a serious time. College kids were protesting the war, so doing comedy just seemed like passe.
Right. But then when it happens at the Comedy Store, at that point, when did you get the Tonight Show? What year was that?
I got to Tonight. Well, I started guest hosting in 86, 87. 87. And I guest hosted for 5 years, and then I got the show in 92.
When you walk through the Comedy Store now, all the pictures are of that era, right? It was prior. It was
Something I used to. I loved following. We called him Richie Pryor. It's so funny because it's Richard Pryor, but it was Richie then.
Yeah.
Richie, how you doing? And nobody funnier. Really, really powerful. Really good.
Yeah.
Great wordplay, great ad lib, really good comic.
Yeah.
And I used to say to Mitzi, "Can I go on after Richie?" And it was great because nobody wanted to, but I figured that's the only way you get good. And I realized I didn't have an hour. I had maybe 14 minutes because after Richie would kill.
Yeah.
Okay, but Jay Leno, they just come down from seeing Richie do an hour, and then you go on. But if you got laughs, at least. The Comedy Store was a great breeding ground, but it was also made for lazy performers,
What do you mean?
A lot of people they want to have a Comedy Store act. They have 10 minutes on the plate glass window over here,
Right.
and 5 minutes on whatever thing was hanging on the wall,
Uh-huh.
and it'd get big laughs because
Yeah.
it appeared to be ad libs to the audience, but
Yeah.
it didn't work when you left. You know,
Right.
I noticed in Boston there were really good comics in Boston when I started,
Mm-hmm.
but they were making $1,000 a weekend in Boston, just doing Boston, because
Right.
they're doing Mayor White and the city of Boston. And
Right.
they're doing
The big
doing impressions of aldermen and people who are on local TV.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
and then they go to Hartford, Connecticut. People go, wait, what are you talking about? You know.
Right.
And I realized, boy, when you get good somewhere, just get the hell out.
Get
of there
out.
and go to the next place.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know, comics, I think we're inherently
know.
lazy. You know,
Mhm.
you go to they like me there. I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
You know.
Right,
The trick
yeah.
is to go to places where they don't like you, and if you can turn them,
Yeah.
then you've done something.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, what a different thing that there weren't enough comics. I mean, there's
No.
so many now.
Yeah, I
There's
know,
so
it's
many.
unbelievable.
It's become like music now. It's like there's so many genres of comedy. You know what I mean? There's like,
Well, you know, it's really odd because to me, Seinfeld and I always have this discussion. There are certain comics we talk about. They're like alternative comics. And I always say to Jerry, but how would they do at the Sand and Gravel Convention in Vegas? And you go, no, they wouldn't play this. They couldn't do the Sand and Gravel Convention. And that's the real truth. I mean, I had a gig the other night. I was
Yeah.
up at Costgold, I think, a casino, a nice casino up in upstate in California here, about 45 minutes north of Fresno.
right.
Indian casino, and it's outside.
Okay.
Stage is outside. The sun is shining when you go on at 8, so you've got at least an hour of sunshine before it goes down at 9.
Yeah.
You know, and the parking garage is right here.
Yeah.
There's a neighbor there with barking dogs. You know, and nice audience, good, but
Yeah.
they're milling about. They're looking for the seat. You're outside.
Yeah.
You know, and you're talking, go. The sound, to the credit, the sound was actually pretty good, and it was fine. But
Yeah.
it was one of those ones where just concentrate, just work,
Yeah.
just plow through.
Yeah.
You know, just have the next thing.
I always feel like, just remember, they're having a good time. You're miserable.
Right.
But
Well, I wouldn't
just,
even say
just put
miserable.
a smile on your face and go.
Because doing this is like pizza. Even when it's bad, it's still good.
Right.
Even when it's bad, it's still pizza. You know, I mean, there's no better place to be than on
Yeah.
stage.
Oh my God.
You know, I find that as like if I go on stage with a broken collarbone and 2 broken ribs,
Yeah.
I have no pain for an hour.
Right.
I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
It's good. Then I come off stage. Oh man, I sit down. But you know, for that hour,
Yeah.
it just it
disappears.
It just disappears.
Yeah.
But I think all comics would tell you that. You know,
Oh.
if you have a cold,
I know.
It's
The
okay.
one time I knew I really had the flu, and I went up at the comic strip in New York and still felt it.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, this is another
That's
level.
when you're gonna die.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, but for the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Then you're in trouble.
yeah, yeah.
Do you still, was there that part, and I think I've asked you this before, but
What?
was there that part when the Tonight Show's over where you missed the jokes about the night, about the day, I mean, you have your act, but did you miss because you go to Comedy Magic Club and go through your
Right.
relevant jokes for the
I
week
like
kind
writing
of a
jokes
thing?
on a daily basis. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Do you still do it in your head? Do you still?
No, not really. You know, it's different now. I mean,
Uh-huh.
now you have to give your opinion on every issue.
Right.
You know, people come after you if you don't.
Uh-huh.
You know, I remember John Oliver. I'm just watching. I like John. I watched one day. Suddenly he's talking about Leno hasn't apologized to Monica Lewinsky. Well, and this is last year. I'm thinking, why? What's the problem here? I mean, hey, she's over 21.
Right.
They're both adults. You can't say you didn't know he was married. He's president of the United States.
Right.
Why is this? I mean,
Yeah.
at the time it was fair game.
Right.
Now is it piling on or it's not fair game or whatever. I mean, I'm astounded at how different it is now.
Mm-hmm.
It's why I don't really do any of these comedy specials because something I said 5 years ago, which is perfectly fine, is now, ooh.
Right.
I mean, I watched a comic I know who I like very much. He had a special. I watched the other night of 2016. And he walked out and said in the most innocuous way, "These pants make me look gay. I'm not being offended, do they?" You know, and the audience was laughing because To me, he was being silly.
Yeah.
He wasn't being homophobic,
Right.
and he didn't go anywhere else with it other than that. But I found myself going, "Ooh,"
Right.
and I go, "Why did I do that?
Uh-huh.
Why did I react that way?" I
Uh-huh.
mean, he wasn't he. It was his insecurity with the pants.
Right.
It wasn't.
Exactly.
It wasn't an anti-gay joke or anything,
Right.
And you go, "But that's where you are now. You say something." And,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Right. It's interesting because there's so many people. I noticed when Chris Rock did his last special, the people writing reviews on it were not comedy writers. They weren't people that write about comedy or know comedy. It was
Well,
people
that-
from the culture.
You know,
part
it's so
of the
funny
thing.
because I watched Chris's special. I thought it was great. I mean, unlike a lot of other comics, he doesn't pontificate. He has a joke every 6 to 9 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I like. Whether you like the joke or not, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the joke is
There's a
there.
joke there,
So when
right.
I watched it, there are people who want to hear the social commentary, and there are people like me who want to hear the joke.
Yeah.
I appreciate the social commentary, but I'm there for the joke.
Yeah.
So I thought he was great.
Yeah.
But then I read reviews where he referenced, one said, Chris Rock said this is all new material. I saw him 2 months ago in San Francisco. He did the same material. Yes, he was breaking it in. He's breaking in for the special. What are you
That's someone
talking?
that doesn't know comedy.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's someone that doesn't know. It's embarrassing
I know.
reading their stuff because they really have no clue how comedy works.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading a Rodney review. It really made me laugh. Rodney played the Comedy Store, and the LA critics, they sent down some guy. And he said, Midzanger has an annoying habit of constantly touching his tie and that nervous tie, I tell you, that's the act.
That's the act.
That's who he's playing. I'm thinking,
I
how do you not know that? How are you a comedy critic?
I know.
Yeah.
Because they're not comedy critics now. They're just
Yeah.
people writing from the culture end of it. It's
but
just
that's
about
okay.
the issue.
I mean,
It's okay, but it's kind of embarrassing that you're trying to analyze comedy. It's like writing about football and you don't know anything about football.
Yeah.
I saw a guy or girl, somebody reviewed Sebastian, and they said he was telling a joke about being at Starbucks and this person eating out of a bag at Starbucks, and he's mocking this person, and the person wasn't even there to defend themselves. Well, if you're going to bring up everybody in your act,
and who you didn't mention him by name.
no,
It's just a person.
yeah, it's like the disconnect between what comedy is and what they're writing.
Well,
about.
you mentioned I was in a restaurant with my wife, and a Chinese restaurant, and one woman just running the whole of it. It was like a small restaurant, but every table, maybe 25, 30 tables.
Yeah.
And I said, man, this woman's working her ass off. And the next table goes, she's a server. Well, I said, I said woman. I didn't say girl. I didn't say
Right.
I
Waitress.
I said this woman's working her ass off. It was a compliment. And what?
And who are you?
Why are you saying woman bad? And like right away she kind of went, well, I guess. Well, no. I'm not. It just. I mean, you're correcting me on something. Okay, if I had said she's the server, you probably would have said she's a woman first, which seems like that would be the correct
Yeah.
insult if you're going to find. How do you get?
Yeah, the semantics of it.
I know people are all offended for other people, for people they don't
Right.
even know or
Right,
met.
exactly.
Yeah,
and they're blaming the people without even considering the source, without considering what this person is and what their work is.
Yeah.
Here's something I took offense to when you were doing an interview about food on the road, and you say you never get room service.
Oh, I never go with that.
That's all I get when I'm on the road. I'm always like, I just want to be alone.
I always figure
I just
if
want to
you're-
be by myself. I
If
don't
you're
want to.
too lazy, how hungry are you if you can't walk down and get something to eat? To have small men in ill-fitting suits pushing cartons of food into your room just seems odd to me. I feel like so guilty, like and then it just seems so. When you're a comic, you're always broke. Even when you're rich, you think you're broke.
Always.
You
Is
know.
that true? Because I still feel that way, but I
Yeah.
didn't think you would feel that
No,
way.
I feel that way.
You do?
I still use, I tell you, so stupid. I did a thing for McDonald's, a corporate event, right?
Uh-huh.
So they give me a bunch of Happy Meal coupons. Like, I'm going to use these. Yeah. So I pull in McDonald's. I'm driving this fancy McLaren where the doors go up.
Yeah.
So I got the guy, here, give me 2 Happy Meals. Here's 2 Happy Meals. Guy goes, "Oh, sir, we only allow one Happy Meal per visit." I said, "Well, that's fine. I'll pay for that." No, hang on. Can you hang? I said, "Well, no, sir. No, please wait here. Let me get the manager." "What? No. Can you pull off to this?" Okay, so I pull off to the side. Now the doors come up. The manager can. People are like, "What kind of car is that?" "Oh, that's a McLaren." And it's a Jay Leno guy. And I hear somebody go, "He's arguing over a Happy Meal coupon." I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing. The guy that I had them. They said I could use. I look like I'm driving this expensive car and I'm fighting with the guy over the Happy Meal coupon. It's so stupid.
Yeah. What is it? Is that feeling like you're poor? Is that similar to the low self-esteem makes you successful?
Yes,
I
I think
the vulnerability.
So. You know what it is? So I think it's the idea that I see this happen with comedians who become rich. Nothing funny happens to them anymore because other people do things for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of some comics I know that became big movie stars that are really great comics.
Yeah.
And they really haven't been funny in years because nothing happened.
Right. They're not living a normal life
I tell
anymore.
you, this is such a stupid story. I always tell my wife's friends, if you're with my wife Mavis and she sees something she likes or it's too expensive, call me. I'll get it for Christmas. Okay. So I go, "Oh, this guy at Barney, your wife saw this." Mavis' friend called me, says she saw this bracelet at Barney's. I said, "How much was it?" $7,800 and $7,000. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, that's a lot of money, but I've been married 43 years, and that's less than 10 cents a day, I guess. You know what I'm saying? You try to rationalize that. Okay, so I take out my MasterCard and I go, "Here you go." And the guy goes, "Oh, this is Barney, sir. We don't accept MasterCard." I go, "Well, why? What's wrong? It's not the Discover card. It's MasterCard. We don't take it." He says, "You got another card?" I said, "I don't. I do, but I don't use them." He says, "You got American Express Gold card?" I said, "I do. I've got it. I don't think I've used it in the last year." So I open it, I see the gold card, and I give it to the guy. The guy looks at it, looks at me, looks at the card. Then he goes over to talk to the manager. I hear the manager go, "I don't care what show he's on. I don't care who he is. No." The answer is no. We're not doing it. I'm thinking, what's this jerk's problem? The guy goes, "Sir, we can't accept it." And I realized what I had done. This is so stupid. Last year I had done a corporate event for Burger King. So they gave me a gold card good for 500 free hamburgers. And I thought that was I saw the gold card. I gave it the card. I looked like an idiot celebrity trying to trade hamburgers for I'll give you 500 hamburgers if you give me this bracelet. I mean,
like Bluto.
Yeah, that's
wimpy.
Yeah, it was so stupid.
You're wimpy.
Yeah, so stupid. Yeah.
I remember that you were so nice. I did the Tonight Show. I think it was the first or second time that I did it with you. And my father was there. And you invited my father to come see all your cars. It was such a nice gesture. I mean, he's so excited to be there.
Right, yeah.
And then for you to come in as the host and just be like, "Come on up." And he took you up on it. And it was always, I tell that story all the time. It was
I'm
so
probably
sweet.
the age your father was when I brought him in to see my cars.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
You ever think about that when you're a kid?
Yeah.
Like it always amazed me when I reached the age where presidents were younger than me.
Yeah, I know.
Like Obama came in, I'm like, what?
Yeah, I know.
So he was like in the 4th grade when I
I know. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
But when we toured around your cars and there was a lot of different stuff that you got. My point is, you seem to do corporate gigs that you always get good little gifts off of them.
Oh yeah.
Like for Ford or for Burger King. I always do them and you just get paid and you never see them, but you always seem to get treats.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, you got to get the treat. You got to know how to play it.
Yeah. You got to ask the right questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The right question. Sure, that's it. Yeah.
How often do you work on your act?
Whenever I come up with something.
And it's always a work in progress, evolving.
It's always a work in progress. You know what it is? I don't do specials because I always know where my act is.
Right.
Like a lot of times people say, "God, I saw you last year. You got all new stuff." No, I don't.
Right.
Some of it might seem new,
Yeah.
or maybe I changed something around.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a bad memory. It's like watching a magician. You saw how the trick is done, and you forget.
Uh-huh.
And then you go see it again. So
Yeah.
to me, I remember we had a comedian. I can't remember. I do remember. I don't want to say his name, but he came on the Tonight Show, and he had done a special.
Yeah.
And it got good reaction, so he's on the road
Right.
promoting the special. I said, "God, you come up with all this stuff?" He goes, No, I'm doing the same material I did in the special." I go, people watch the special. They come. He goes, no. The next time he was on the show, he was like ashen faced. He was like,
Right.
"Oh my God, you are people yelling at me."
Oh, really?
I mean, they saw it for free,
yeah.
and now they had to pay $25 or $50
Yeah.
to hear the same thing again that they just
Yeah.
saw for. They can go home and watch again for free.
Right.
So I mean, figure out where you're going to make your money. If you want to work one day a year,
Yeah.
work on the special, do it one day and relax it. Or I would rather do it 150 times around the country than do it once on a special. You know what I mean?
Right, I know. But I always say, and I've told you this before, I think that you should record it. Maybe don't air it, just so people can see it when you're done.
When I'm done, I won't know whether they saw it.
I know,
or
but
not.
we would.
Huh?
But we would get to see
that's
it.
not my
I saw a clip of you yesterday.
What?
It was your birthday yesterday?
No,
It was someone saying happy birthday. Maybe it
I don't know.
was an old clip, but bushy hair.
Yeah, that would be an old clip. That was not
the
yesterday.
Improv,
Yeah,
yeah.
probably.
I think it was the Improv put it up actually.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
Yeah. Bushy hair, talking about the UFOs.
Oh,
Talking about
Bob
the
Buki, his cousin
Yeah, Bob,
Weenie.
those names are so great.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Bob Buki and
Yeah, no, I just never got the whole. If you.
but it's great. I'm sorry to interrupt, but but it was great to see that clip of you, and it will be great to see that act at some point.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Yeah, just record it, put it in your back pocket.
But see, I had the advantage. I was on TV every night already,
yeah.
so people didn't need to see any more of me. You know what I mean? It's like I got asked to host the Oscars, and I thought, well, what do I do here? Do I save my best jokes for the Oscar show, or do I do them on the show that I do?
Right.
So the
Yeah.
idea that you do 5 nights, and then on Sunday night you do a brand new monologue. You do the best of the joke. What do you do there? You know?
Yeah.
I think my decision was right when I saw Dave do it, and that was not a real successful. I mean, look, Letterman's great. I don't mean it that way, but he got some grief.
He
for
got
the
a lot of
Oprah
grief.
joke, and
Yeah. Oprah, Uma.
Well, it's the fact that they watch him every night,
Yeah.
and then you see him do the same thing on the special Academy Award thing.
Yeah.
Kimmel does a good job. He does a good job. On
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
No,
I
he's
like
really
what he
good at
does. Yeah, he's got funny stuff. Too.
Yeah.
But it's to me, if I have a job, I concentrate all my effort on that job.
Right.
But if I have to do 5 nights of Tonight Show monologues and then have one day to get something ready, that doesn't quite work. You're getting greedy.
What's the thing with comedians? The compulsion to keep doing stand-up. No one retires. You never hear of like a comedian saying, "I'm retiring."
Well, you do all the time, don't you? I mean, think of all the guys that were around not that long ago that aren't around anymore. I mean, they move into game show hosts, so they become a sitcom star or an actor.
Right.
There's nothing harder than writing a joke.
Yeah.
And when comedians take jokes that are not comedy, take jobs that are not comedy related, I don't know what you get. You just got a guy.
Yeah.
I don't
No, you
get
can
it.
tell when people go off and they go do something, they take another job, and it's like, well, why didn't he come back to stand up?
Yeah.
'Cause
Like
it's
to me,
impossible.
I would love to see Letterman do stand up again.
Yeah.
Nobody made me laugh like Dave. The best years of my life was doing the Late Show with Letterman because it was the first
were
time in my
classic.
life that I was talking to a peer, age-wise, talent-wise. I mean, it just because when you grow up in the East like we did, how are you, Mr. Carson? It's Johnny. I can't call him Johnny. I feel, hey Johnny, how you?
It's like talking to your friend's dad.
Yeah. Like that's like here. Like this is my parents, Bob and Agnes. No. How are you, Mr. and Mrs. Meticelli? Nice to see you. So I could never do that.
Yeah. But with Dave, I mean,
Yeah, Dave, I thought was one of the funniest stand-ups because I remember seeing him at the comedy store.
yeah.
I hadn't met him yet. I saw him on stage,
Uh-huh.
and I thought he was just a great wordsmith. He used the word beverage instead of drink. He chose each word specifically for a purpose.
Yeah.
To give off, And I thought, that's really good, And I think he kind of admired my bravado. He was sort of nervous. My favorite thing to do when I would go on with Letterman, I would get like a meatball sandwich, I really like a giant meatball sandwich. And they would say, Letterman's coming down the hall. I'm like, oh, and I stand in front of makeup. Oh, Dave, oh, you want that? He goes, get that disgusting sandwich out of here. How can you eat? You're going on in 10 minutes. Oh, let's go on. And then I would bring the sandwich out on stage, and just surprise. Oh, Dave, try some of this meatball. No, I don't want any meatball. And it was just so much fun. But I think he liked the fact that I could be loud and verbose and loquacious.
Yeah,
that wasn't his thing. So, right. And I admired his ability to be a wordsmith. I always remember his great joke about local editorials. Do you remember this Letterman bit about we here at station whatever are opposed to the use of orphans as yardage markers on public golf courses? And I thought what a clever series of. Obviously, he does it better than I do. But I thought, just unusual, clever, interesting, really good, really good.
He's having another chapter,
Yeah.
Doing these Netflix interviews.
Right.
It seems like he's kind of found like another gear in a way.
Yeah.
With your car show, do you feel like that's your thing?
Yeah, you take your hobby and you get somebody else to pay for it. So
right.
Yeah. But really, it's just a Tonight Show on wheels,
right?
Because you wind up talking. You get a lot of celebrities that are not really car people, so you try to find the connection. My dad and I used to go for ice cream in a Packard. Oh, okay. Then we find a car like that, and we go for ice cream, and we talk about their life, whatever. It might be.
Just keep going with it.
Yeah.
I have to say though, the eating thing, like you, that is an unnerving thing for comics, and I know because people talk about you like at the Comedy Magic, eating right before you go on, and because comics are very delicate and don't want to really eat before the show, and the legend of Leno being backstage eating like a steak and salmon and fries and just okay, Jay, you're on. Okay, one more bite, and then going up on stage. Exactly. That really does freak people out, comics out.
The stage is not a normal place to be. So if you're not on it at least once or twice a week, it seems like an unusual place.
Yeah.
An old trick I used to do just to help me, I would do my act and then write a letter with this hand. So I would talk, and it helped me compartmentalize. So if there's a heckler over here, I'm thinking, what can I say about that guy? While the act is falling out of my mouth. You know what I mean?
What do you mean you're writing it?
I write for example, a good way to practice is if you ever knew the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, dear Bob. You're writing a letter to somebody,
right? As you're telling the jokes.
Yeah, as you're telling your jokes, you're doing that. You're able to kind of split off, and one side of your brain can do something else. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, I don't know what you mean. That's insane.
No, it's not insane. No, it actually works quite well because when you're on stage, if there's like a big fat guy here, I'm dyslexic, so I don't really write anything down. So if I have it in my head memorized, the words fall out without me even thinking. About it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll have that where you'll be telling the jokes will be spilling out, and you're thinking about, I wonder what I'm going to eat later or something like that. But the idea of
well, it's that, but you're just taking it to the next level.
Yeah,
you're able to compartmentalize about it.
To what end? Why?
Well, because I can think what I'm going to say about that. What appears to be an ad lib is actually I've been thinking about for about a minute and a half while I'm talking, and then it comes out as you just come off, but it's not.
Right. It's so great. You really are seem from the outside to be built for the road in a way that some comics aren't.
Well, I don't really like the road. I like the performing part of it.
Yeah.
And I always travel by myself.
Yeah.
That's when funny stuff happens,
When you do theaters, when you do not corporate events, but when you just do a theater or a casino, do you use an opening act, or do you sometimes just go up by yourself?
Well, I usually do 90 minutes, so I just go by myself.
And just walk out.
I don't really use a comic because inevitably, I've done it a couple times, and the comics are dirty or say the F word, and then people yell at me. Hey, I thought it was going to be a clean show. Well, mine was. I don't know this guy. The casino brought him in.
Right.
And to me, I I always like comedy and music or music and comedy to make it a show.
Right.
You know,
Right.
when you go into Caesars and you have 3 comics, it's a comedy club now.
Yeah.
It's you know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah.
And inevitably.
Right. It's not the.
Yeah, inevitably you're stepping on each other's material.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you're talking about growing up, and then I happen to you about growing up, the jokes are completely different. But to the audience, it's the same. It's the same subject.
Yeah.
It's
Takes
the
a little
same,
something off
It's
it.
the same. I think it does.
Yeah.
I think it does.
I do too.
I mean, what we used to do in the Tonight Show, because we had a situation where stand-ups just people didn't stay for them.
Right.
They just didn't stay.
Yeah.
So we hired stand-ups as correspondents, and they would do
Yeah.
after the monologue. Let's go to so and so.
Yeah.
Chappelle did it.
I did some of them.
Yeah, you did some of
Yeah.
them. And that way they got to be comics
Yeah.
as opposed to standing on the mark and just telling the joke. Which
Right.
It seems to have not as popular as it used to be.
Yeah. It is kind of interesting. What do you think that late night is in trouble now? Do you feel like those shows
Well, I do, but not for the reasons you think.
Mm-hmm.
The trouble is, when we did the Tonight Show, I think around 9, 10, 11, 12, they passed a rule. After 11:30, you could add another like minute and a half or 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
There was a 9-minute break at midnight to like 9:08 or 9:09.
Uh-huh.
So, you turn on a late night show now, you hear the monologue, then you have 4 minutes of commercials at least, and they're all 30-second spots, so that's 8 commercials.
Yeah.
And they're so well shot with mountains and plains and beaches that you think you're watching a movie that's really only 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It just seems like forever.
Yeah, it does.
And when I can switch over to Netflix or Amazon Prime
Mhm.
and get
All entertainment.
without any commercial interruption
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's what kills it, because when you watch late night, you're only watching 40 minutes or 42 minutes max of material, which is not very much. It's not a very efficient. And how many times can you watch that State Farm guy again? Jake from State Farm. I mean, it's the same. It's the same ad over.
Yeah, just beating you into
It's
submission.
like, geez, come on, guys, this is really killing me.
Do you think a late night show could work on streaming?
I don't know, because, Dave and I were lucky because you had appointment television. Oh, you turned on
Yeah.
to see what Dave had to say, or Conan or me or whatever had to say about a subject. Now you can just get that part if you want.
Yeah. Right.
And-
And everyone gets it on social media the next day.
Yeah, and the other thing is, with streaming, people watch it whenever they want. So now you're
Right.
watching a 5-day-old monologue,
Yeah.
which really does,
Yeah.
what worked on Monday, things changed. The guy was found innocent or whatever it might be.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's tricky.
Yeah, it is really tricky. I was on I was doing a morning TV show here at KTLA, and the first question they asked was, so late night's been off because of the writer's strike for a month now. Do you think anyone notices? Do you think anyone cares? It was like, they were saying, like, it doesn't matter anymore. This is a guy on TV.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I can't really answer because it sounds like sour grapes,
Yeah.
I mean, Johnny was the king, and he had the huge. It started to taper off
Yeah.
after Johnny when cable started to come in, but only certain people had.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people had HBO. The
Yeah.
cool people had it, that kind of stuff. But now it's a point where you can. Let me see. I can watch all 3 Godfather movies
Right.
without a commercial. You can watch.
Yeah.
It
just changed.
Breaking Bad, whatever you want to watch.
Yeah.
So the idea that you would watch.
Any idea that with the celebrities, like a movie star, you could only, they're coming on your show. That's my chance to see them.
Right.
Now you see them on their own Instagram.
Yeah, and the other thing is, everybody has handlers now, which they didn't.
Yeah.
We got a lot of press when we had Hugh Grant on that time.
Right.
So, what the hell are you thinking? I called Hugh Grant. He's still in. He goes, yeah, I'll do it. I said, thanks. I really appreciate it. And I said, look, I got to ask you about it. Okay. He goes, yeah, I understand. I screwed up,
Yeah.
He drove himself to the show, no handler. He was self-effacing. He was really funny. Everybody now is press people, whatever, the old days with George Gobel. I remember the famous one. It was like Dean Martin, Bob Hope, Sinatra, and then Gobel walks out with brown shoes on, and everybody just like giving him a hard. I mean, it was really funny.
Yeah, and loose.
Interesting. But the
Yeah.
idea of somebody wearing something inappropriate,
Yeah.
not happening now because
Right.
they have a dresser, they have
Yeah.
wardrobe person to make sure that everything you do is, so
Yeah.
it's a little bit different. It's not that late night
Yeah.
party atmosphere.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't think it's coming back.
I don't know. Plus everybody, like you say, you have to pick a side when you tell jokes now.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of dates with Colin Powell. He and I would
Mm-hmm.
go out, and I'd go out and do some comedy, and then I'd introduce him, and we'd do a Q&A.
Uh-huh.
And he said that. He said he didn't run for president because his wife thought he'd be assassinated.
Mm.
And, he's a great guy. He was
Yeah.
a great guy. And he said, I dragged my wife all over the world, every crappy army base.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Put her through that.
put her through that.
Yeah.
But I think he would have been a great president. I
Yeah.
think he was a decent man, great guy, real New York success story. Came up
Yeah.
through, I think he was in the Bronx or it was, just a great guy.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm popular now until I open my mouth. Then I'll lose half. And the
Right.
next day I'll lose another half.
Yeah.
And then,
No, I remember you saying that. That was a bit of advice you gave me early on. Was you don't have to go out there and tell people where you stand,
Right.
and what you believe in, and split the room in half and your audience in half. They know who you are when you walk up
Right,
there.
that's right.
They get your essence as soon as you get up there. They know what you're
I
about.
remember we had a stand-up comic. I don't remember, but he came out and he said, I'm a Democrat, and right away he lost half the crowd as opposed to
Right.
tell some jokes and it could be about our guy, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the essence of stand-up as a craft, as a thing. We were talking earlier about
Yeah.
like you want to see, where are the jokes? Give me the jokes.
Right.
Do you think that is an art form that's going to be around forever?
Yes, because it doesn't require any effort really much at all.
Uh-huh. On whose part?
I mean, I've done gigs with like Rod Stewart,
Uh-huh.
and you've got a $300,000 load in and load out.
Right.
Okay, so you bring me on, I just walk out and I start talking.
Right.
So they say, okay, so there we can, yeah.
Yeah.
The real trick is trying to find. I was trying to write a political joke that had no politics in it.
Uh-huh.
That people couldn't say you. See if you like this joke. This is my non-political joke. Guy is a local a politician, was a selectman, whatever. And he gets invited to the Republican or Democratic presidential convention. And flies to New York. He's been asked to speak. He's all excited. He gets a man's where 30,000 people. Place is packed. 8 o'clock, the vice president goes, crowd goes crazy. 9 o'clock, president of the United States, crowd goes crazy. And senators and policemen and various local officials. And finally, the guy's sitting there with a speech. He looks around. Everybody's gone. Place is empty. He looks behind him, 4 rows back, guy's sitting there with his hands in his lap. He goes, something? That guy stayed. That guy stayed. I'm going to get up and I'm going to give my speech just as if this place has got 30,000 people. And he goes, we must move on, the government. And he just gives it. He talks about 20 minutes. He comes off. The guy's still sitting there. He walks down. He says, sir, can I ask you a question? What made you stay for my speech? Oh, I speak next. I like that joke.
I like that joke too.
Yeah, it's like a non-political joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke about politics.
Yeah.
Without, you do a Trump
Right.
joke, they get all upset. You do a Biden joke, they take themselves very
Yeah,
seriously.
exactly.
I mean, it's like, God, geez, take it easy, will you?
Right. I know. Everyone's going. You always had that ability to keep jokes in your head.
Yeah, I like jokes. Yeah.
Do you remember the joke you had told me years ago?
What's that?
About the kid with the welding mask?
Oh, yeah, I remember that joke.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember
Could
that.
you tell it?
Oh, okay. Kid's walking along the street and sees a broken welder's mask on the road. Puts it on, puts the shield down. He's walking. Truck pulls up. Hey, kid, want a ride? A ride? Sure, thanks, mister. They're driving along. Kid says, the trucker says, hey, kid, you ever go out and party with grown men? You ever do that? Party with grown men? No, I never done that. Start driving along a bit further. Trucker says, hey, kid, you ever take a shower with a bunch of guys? I do that. Take a shower with grown men? Take a shower with grown men. No, I never done that either. The guy pulls the trigger and says to the kid, let me ask you something, kid. How'd I get your ass reamed? Kid goes, I got to be honest with you, mister. I'm not really a welder. It's a stupid joke.
It's great that you keep those in your head, though. I couldn't do that.
Well, here's a really...
Even if I told someone a joke 5 years ago, there's no way it's still...
Here's a really stupid one. Woman gets a $30,000 facelift, right? She comes out. She goes, oh, my God, this looks unbelievable. So she goes to the bank, to make a deposit. She says to the teller, hey, how old do you think I am? Teller goes, 36? No, I'm 47. Oh, she can't believe it, So she walks across the street. She goes into McDonald's, gets something to eat, Gets up to the thing, and the kid's taking her. She says to the kid, hey, how old do you think I am? The kid looks at her and goes, 29? No, I'm 47. Oh, my God, she can't believe she's just on cloud nine. She's so excited, So she cuts through the park. She's an old man sitting on a bench, She just sits down there. She says, excuse me, there, old fella. How old do you think I am? The guy says, well, my eyesight's not good, but I have a surefire way to tell how old a woman is, but it's a little rude. She goes, why? She goes, well, let me put my hand down the front of your pants, feel around a little bit, and I can tell exactly how old you are. She goes, that's impossible. He goes, well, I can do it. She goes, I don't believe it. Well, I can. That's finally, it just gets the better. She goes, oh, all right. So they duck behind the bench. Guy puts his hand down, feels around, takes his hand and goes, you're 47 years old. Woman goes, that's me. How do you do that? He goes, I was the guy behind you in line at McDonald's. Stupid joke. Stupid joke.
So stupid.
I know, but sometimes it's just funny how. That's why I knew Rodney for years.
Yeah.
I didn't know if Rodney was Republican or Democrat. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything.
Nothing.
And I wasn't. I didn't care.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Well, that's what's interesting. It's like we don't come to you for that. I'm not coming to you for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go to Bill Maher for that.
Right.
Like he loves it. He breathes it. It's his thing. Yeah. That's great. But if you're not that kind of a comic, dipping in a little bit, that's not why we're here.
Here's a joke you would like. This joke works pretty good. Talking about everything now. Everybody is, gender fluidity. You have to say what you are. And on President's Day, I think it was on the Today Show, some guy came out with a book where he said Lincoln was gay. Lincoln, isn't that unbelievable? A guy goes to the theater one time. And that was pretty good. That's a pretty funny joke. I just like that joke. It just makes me laugh.
Let me ask you a couple last questions. First, you said also that you like having food that you can hold.
What is it?
It's like wrapped in paper, like
a
hot dog or a burger.
Well, I get most of my meals from people in paper hats.
In paper hats.
Yeah. That's pretty much my life. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked out? Do you work out?
Well, when I had the Tonight Show, I worked out every day.
You did?
I worked with a trainer.
You did?
We ran 5 miles every day. Did all that stuff.
You did?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I'm not a big food. Seinfeld and I always have this. I think Jerry's favorite. To me, soup is just a way to screw you out of a meal. Here's a bowl. It's wet. Okay, thanks. That's great. You got anything to eat now? No, not a soup guy.
You have this. The fire, the accidents.
Yeah.
I'm getting up. It's not a big deal. I'm just going 8 days. And you eating backstage at the Comedy and Magic Club and going back up on stage.
Right.
The meatballs before you go on the
thing.
Oh,
it's fabulous.
Yeah. You seem to have a just go attitude. Is that something that you were born into? Is it something way of living that you just kind of figured out? Like, you don't seem to get mired in feelings, and you just seem to be...
Well, you can have feelings. It's not that you don't have feelings. It's just that you don't... you stay married for 43 years because you don't complain.
Mm-hmm.
You're not whining. You're not complaining. Just do what you're supposed to do. Just shut up. Nobody cares. They really don't.
Right.
Always, that's my favorite thing whenever I watch... if you ever turn on Jerry Springer, people always go, I'm here on national television to let people know what my husband is like. Like, who cares?
Right.
People have their own problems,
Right.
It's the same thing. I mean, Nobody wants to see whiny celebrities. They want to see you do what it is you do, tell jokes, be funny, or at least make an attempt, not get out there and whine and complain. That was always my favorite thing on the Tonight Show. You know, comics would work hard, put a set together, put some panel together, have a funny story, and then when they make it, the manager would call and say, "He's just going to talk. Just ask him questions." Well, where does he want me to go? Just whatever you want. Hey, why'd you ask him that? Well, you didn't say what not to. You know?
Yeah. Just do the work.
Yeah, I mean, people expect you to be funny.
Right.
I mean, that's
your job.
That's the job.
Yeah.
To go on a show and not be funny, it's like, oh.
Right. There's a lot of people that can do that.
It's like, please welcome Frank Sinatra Jr. What? What do you say at the end? You know, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Just go out and do the job. How much are you touring now?
Oh, maybe 150 a year, something like that.
That's good. That's still
healthy.
healthy.
I used to do quite a few more, but I like it. It's I mean, I enjoy it. And, you know, now it's funny because now you're like, they're stunned that you're still alive.
Right.
You know, like, oh. And I meet, it's so funny talking to
You're
guys.
still alive.
They're talking to guys in their 40s that go, I used to watch you with my grandmother. And you go, it just seems so odd to me.
Yeah.
Because we never think of ourselves as being the Alan Kings or the Rodneys but I guess to a younger generation possibly you are, you know.
Maybe.
Like Shecky Green and those guys, you know.
Yeah, but those guys looked old when they were 40. You know what I mean? Like, you still look like...
No, that's because you're old.
Is that what it is?
Yes, because you're looking at me. You know, it's so funny. I was sitting in my house one day, and the Rolling Stones were on. This is like a few years ago. Well, it's just 9 years since the Tonight Show was, probably last year. And the Rolling Stones was on. And some of the interns came in my room, and I said, well, you know, guys, they still look good considering how long they've been doing it. And they went, what? They were like... Mr. Leno, they're really old. It just made me laugh because to me, they look pretty good.
They're still going.
See, I mean, that's what I mean. I was watching a commercial. I think it was for Tide detergent.
Yeah.
And this woman's holding up a pair of pants. You're not wearing that. No, you're not. And I go, why is this chick hassling you? What do you care what you wear? Oh, she's the mom. They both look the same age to me.
Right.
You know, like the daughter was like 18, the mom was like 36 or 38 or something.
Yeah.
I went, oh, they look like the same. Yeah. So that always makes me laugh. That's not old, right? Yes, it is. Yes, you're old. I know I'm old. I mean, it's funny. It always makes me laugh when I see comedians my age. So I'm dating this chick, you know. I met her. I go, shut up. You're not dating any chick. You're dating an elderly woman, and you're old, too. You know, it's best when you can play your age.
Yeah.
I mean, because my act was always older than me.
Yeah,
you know?
Me too.
So you grow, so you actually grow into it, and now you're there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I always say, it always used to make me laugh when you'd see, like, comedians, like, when they're 25, they got on stage, and they got the leather pants and the open shirt, and they say the word pussy, and women go, oh, we said pussy, and they laugh, you know. Then you see that guy, he's 52, and he says pussy. They go, ooh, that old guy says, ooh. You know,
what's wrong with him?
Ooh, what's wrong with that creepy old guy? Yeah, so when you act, when you start to look and feel and become your act.
Yeah, that's what it's. Yeah.
I mean, that's the real comedy breakthrough.
Yeah.
When you can just talk.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
Right.
Because I used to have, you know, set up punchline joke when I started.
Yeah.
And then one day I started just telling on stage the table stories that when we sat with the comics like we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a beginning or a middle, but they didn't begin or an end, but they had a funny middle. So I would just do the middle, and I'd get laughs with that. And I went, okay, if I can come up with a little tag, and then it really becomes you. Like your material only belongs to you.
Yeah.
If somebody else did it, they go, that's Tom Papa's material.
Right.
As opposed to just doing off the wall one-liners.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, Jay, I really thank you for doing this.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you're still alive.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. So I can die now that I've done the show. You know, the last podcast he did, you know, I want to say my show was the last one Leno did. For ratings. Leno did before he died.
But be careful out there.
Yeah.
Stop lighting yourself on fire and going under wires with your motorcycle.
I'm lighting myself on fire.
Yeah. I know it's nice to go out in a blaze of glory, but not yet. Not yet.
Well, Tom, thanks. I
You're the
appreciate
best,
it, my
Jay.
friend. All right.
Thanks,
Thank
buddy.
you.
There you have it, everybody. The great Jay Leno. As I said, I'm happy he's still alive. He's always got jokes. He's always very generous with his time. He's a mensch, as they say. A mensch. 40 years. It's a comedy tank. The man is a tank. Thank you to Jay Leno. Thank you to nuts.com. Thank you to all of you for listening. Make sure you go out and get my book. We're all in this together, so make some room. And also, I've got some shows coming up. If you are anywhere near the Delaware area on Sunday, July 16th, I will be at the Fremont Arts Pavilion, a beautiful, beautiful spot in Delaware on a Sunday summer night. It's going to be a great time. Maybe I'll even have my books there. Maybe we'll do a little signing. It'll be a great time and a great way to cap off a weekend in the summer. And then I'm going to New Hampshire. I'm going to the Hamptons. I'm going to Winnipeg. Going to Montreal. It's a fun summer. And then we've got a whole list of other tour dates for the fall at tompapa.com. You guys are the best. Happy 4th of July. Happy summer. We'll see you next time.